Blockbuster, once a giant in home entertainment. Operated on a simple model: physical stores, paper rental, and hefty late fees. This model was profitable, making them hesitant to change. In contrast, Netflix, founded in 1997, introduced a subscription-based service mailing DVDs directly to homes with no late fees. This offered convenience and predictability. In 2000, Netflix, struggling financially, offered to be acquired by Blockbuster for $50 million. Blockbuster, seeing Netflix as a niche player and reliant on their profitable late fee model, refused the offer. This decision became a textbook example of strategic failure. As internet speeds improved, Netflix pivoted to streaming, a move that would redefine media consumption. Blockbuster attempted to catch up with its own online service, but it was too little, too late. Their core business was tied to physical locations, and they couldn't adapt quickly enough. While Netflix was investing in technology and original content, Blockbuster was sinking under the weight of its outdated model. Eventually filing for bankruptcy in 2010, Netflix's success was built on adapting to technology and prioritizing the customer experience. While Blockbuster's downfall serves as a cautionary tale about resisting innovation, remember the 90s? The thrill of heading to Blockbuster on a Friday night, wandering the aisles, picking out a movie, maybe grabbing some popcorn? For a generation, that blue and yellow ticket stub was a symbol of weekend entertainment. At its peak, Blockbuster was an unstoppable giant, with over 9,000 stores worldwide, seemingly owning the very concept of home video. They were the undisputed kings, and it felt like their reign would never end. But in the background, a small, disruptive idea was taking shape. One that would not just challenge the king, but completely rewrite the rules of the game. This is the story of how a scrappy startup toppled a global empire. It all began in 1997 with a man named Reed Hastings. The story goes that Hastings was hit with a $40 late fee for returning the movie, Apollo 13, frustrated. He had a light bulb moment. What if there were no late fees? What if you could keep a movie for as long as you wanted? That simple idea was the seed that grew into Netflix. Hastings, along with his co-founder Mark Randolph, launched Netflix as a mail-order DVD rental service. The concept was revolutionary for its time. You go online, pick your movies, and they arrive in your mailbox in a neat little red envelope. The real game changer, though, was the subscription model introduced in 1999. For a flat monthly fee, you could rent as many DVDs as you wanted, with no due dates and, most importantly, no late fees. This directly attacked Blockbuster's business model, which relied heavily on those pesky late fees for a significant chunk of its revenue. By the year 2000, Netflix was still a small player, but it was gaining traction. Sensing a massive opportunity, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph flew to Dallas to meet with Blockbuster CEO John Antioco. They proposed a partnership. Netflix would run Blockbuster's brand online, effectively becoming Blockbuster.com. The asking price was $50 million. In what is now considered one of the biggest blunders in corporate history, Antioco and his team practically laughed them out of the room. They saw Netflix not as a threat, but as a niche, insignificant business. They simply couldn't comprehend a world without physical video stores, and they certainly couldn't see the value in a $50 million deal for a tiny online service. That single decision would haunt Blockbuster forever. After being rejected, Netflix went back to work, determined to prove Blockbuster wrong. As the early 2000s rolled on, high-speed internet became more common, and the ground began to shift beneath Blockbuster's feet. While Netflix was perfecting its online logistics and building a loyal subscriber base, Blockbuster was stuck in the past. They saw the internet as a minor channel, not the future. Internally, the company was a mess. There was a huge conflict between the corporate leadership and the franchise owners. The franchisees had invested their life savings into their physical stores and were terrified of any move towards an online model. Seeing it as direct competition that would cannibalize their sales, this internal resistance paralyzed Blockbuster, preventing it from making any bold, innovative moves. John Antioco, the same CEO who had laughed at Netflix, did eventually see the writing on the wall. He launched Blockbuster Online in 2004, a service designed to compete directly with Netflix. It was a solid effort and even started gaining market share. Antioco's strategy was to integrate the online service with the physical stores, allowing customers to return online rentals in-store for a free movie. It was a clever hybrid model that leveraged Blockbuster's biggest asset, its thousands of locations. But this forward-thinking strategy was expensive. When investor Carl Icahn gained significant influence on Blockbuster's board, he clashed with Antioco over the high cost of the online venture. Icahn wanted to focus on short-term profitability from the stores, not long-term investment in a digital future. This conflict led to Antioco being pushed out in 2007. With him went Blockbuster ES's last real chance to adapt. Just as Blockbuster was retreating from the online space, Netflix made its next legendary pivot. In 2007, recognizing that the future wasn't just about mail-order DVDs, but instant access, Netflix launched its Watch Now streaming service. Initially, the library was small and the quality wasn't great, but Reed Hastings understood that technology improves. He was betting on the future of internet speeds and connectivity, while Blockbuster's new leadership, under Jim Keyes, doubled down on the physical stores, famously saying that neither Netflix nor Redbox were even on the radar screen in terms of competition. Netflix was busy building the infrastructure for a streaming revolution. Keyes' focus was on selling candy and merchandise in stores, completely missing the tidal wave of digital disruption that was about to hit. The end came swiftly. By 2010, the combination of Netflix's convenience and the rise of Redbox's cheap Wanderer rentals had decimated Blockbuster's revenue. Customers no longer had a reason to go to their stores. Saddled with nearly $1 billion in debt, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. In September 2010, the empire had crumbled. Stores closed by the thousands, and the iconic blue and yellow signs became relics of a bygone era. Today, only one Blockbuster store remains in the entire world. In Bend, Oregon, a nostalgic tourist attraction more than a functioning business. Meanwhile, Netflix soared. Free from the constraints of physical media, it invested billions into acquiring content and, eventually, producing its own. Shows like House of Cards and Stranger Things turned Netflix from a distributor into a global production powerhouse, fundamentally changing Hollywood and how we consume entertainment. Today, Netflix is a global streaming giant with hundreds of millions of subscribers worldwide, a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars. So what can we learn from this epic business saga? The story of Blockbuster and Netflix is a powerful lesson in vision and adaptation. Blockbuster failed because its leadership was arrogant, resistant to change, and focused on protecting its existing model instead of innovating for the future. They suffered from what's known as the innovator's dilemma. They were so successful at what they did that they couldn't see the need to do something new. Netflix, on the other hand, succeeded because it was always looking ahead. They weren't afraid to disrupt their own business, moving from DVDs to streaming, and then from streaming to content creation. They understood that customer convenience is king, and that technology is an unstoppable force. It's a stark reminder that in the fast-paced world of business, you either adapt or you become a memory. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this look back at business history, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of titanic triumphs and failures. We'll see you in the next one.